Welcome to another cracking day out on a motorcycle. I've got to tell you, it's been long overdue because we have had like a week and a half straight of just rain every day, and even when it's not raining, everything's wet. So we finally got a nice day. You can see just how beautiful it is out there, barely a cloud in the sky. But what I wanted to talk to you today about was giving you some tips, top 5 tips that I have to try and help keep you alive on a motorcycle, and actually maybe a 6s. Don't follow this car so closely. Yeah, I wanted to give you the top 5. So I've been riding motorbikes on the road for I don't know, like the better part of 20 years pretty much, and there's a few tips I've picked up along the way. Some of them you might know, some of them you might not, but I thought I would run you through the 5 of them, and hopefully I can impart a little bit of my knowledge and experience to help out maybe newer riders or anyone really who doesn't know these things. So without further ado, let's get into them. Okay, well, let's start. How's this sudden change of scenery? You didn't see that coming, did you? And wait, it's going to change again for the next tips. Let's start at tip number 5. I'm going to pull over here somewhere, have a bit of a chat, then I'm going to go and have some fun, and then we'll come back for tip number 4. But number 5 is check over your bike. Let's find a spot to pull over. Okay, we've pulled over. Is this the best place to pull over? I don't know. It's certainly very scenic and pretty, but it's also on the side of a highway where it's a 100 zone. So who knows? So when I said check your bike, do the simple things. I mean, obviously I live in the real world, and I get it. We're not going to be double checking every aspect of our bike every time we take it to work in the morning or to the shops, right? But if you're going for a decent ride, do some basic checks. I'm not going to get into it too much now. I might actually make a whole separate video on bike maintenance tips, just 5. I'm not a bike mechanic, so bear that in mind. And there is a car coming, but there's a few simple things you can check. Obviously, things like the tyres. Make sure that there's enough tread on them and they're not bald, because bald tyres suck and they don't offer much grip. Make sure your chain's adjusted. You know, you don't have to do a lot. Just give it a tweak. Make sure it feels around about where it should be. Yeah, so just the simple things. Make sure your brakes have got pressure, because if you go out riding and something doesn't feel right, and then all of a sudden they go soft on you, giggity, that's not going to be very good. Make sure your tyres have got plenty of tread on them. I've got a brand new front. My back's virtually brand new as well. Heaps of tread on mine, so I'm good there. Chain's adjusted. You know, you can check if your indicators and stuff work. I get it. A lot of you aren't going to do this, and you know, I don't really either. I just make sure the basic thing works. Check your rear brake pressure. Make sure that there's actually some pressure there. And yeah, as I say, I might do a separate video on actual maintenance tips. But check your bike. Make sure that it's good and safe to run. And yeah, that's tip number 5. Now, I'm going to go and enjoy this ride and this beautiful day, and then we'll come back for tip number 4. So, coming in at number 4, it's leave enough space at the traffic lights. This is actually something I see a lot of people do wrong, and I'm going to demonstrate here. Hopefully this doesn't get me. I see a lot of people park their bikes this close to a car. Now, hopefully you can understand how far away I am from that car, but it was like a metre away, and I see this happen all the time. Now, I'm going to come back to why I don't believe that is a good idea. Because the second part to this tip is to check your mirrors. So when you pull up at the traffic lights, which we're about to do here again, I'll swing and left. When you pull up behind the traffic lights, I would suggest parking about this far away. So there's enough room there to actually fit a whole nother motorbike. But the reason you check your mirrors is to make sure, and I was just watching the car behind me pull up then, it's to make sure that the car behind you has seen the red light, has seen the stop traffic. And that they pull up. So as soon as you pull up, I typically look in my rear view mirror. Now, if you could see the car in the lane next to us as well, that was always good. And what you're looking out for is for them not to have observed the red light or the stop traffic. Now, if you park as far back as I have now, if you look in the rear view mirror and you think, that car's not going to stop, there's no way that car has seen us, they're coming in too hot, and you need to use a bit of judgment there, then by parking as far back as I did, it gives you the opportunity to actually move forward and pick a side of the car and drive down it. So obviously traffic filtering is legal in a lot of places now, but it can also be illegal, I understand that. But if you park this far back, what you can actually do is duck over to the side like this and go next to the car in front and try and avoid that impact. And I would also recommend not stopping directly next to that car itself. I would actually try and keep going forward if you can. Obviously if there's a red light and you've come up to the white line like I have here, then you can't go too much further. But that is why you leave a bit of space. You look in your rear view mirror because you're looking to stop that rear impact, which we've probably mostly all seen videos of on YouTube. Well, that's one way to avoid it. And tip number 3, it's ride within the knowledge you have of the road you're riding on. That might not be the best way to say that, but what I'm saying is I've seen too many people crash on roads that they don't know because they're riding the same way they do on roads that they do know. And to be more specific, there were some people from out of state who came down to enjoy the beautiful roads that we have, and they came riding with us. Now we all took off on these particularly tight, twisty, fun sort of mountain pass roads, I suppose, if you will. We all sort of took off because we knew the roads very well. Now they made the decision because, and they were actually good riders, the reality is they were good riders, but they made the decision that they should be fine going with us, but they didn't know the road. And as with a lot of mountain passes, the reality is you do come up to, you know, blind crests where on the other side of the crest you have to turn immediately. And unfortunately one of them did get caught out in a very, very big way. Went round one left-hander, didn't realise there was a small chicane coming up with a grass island in the middle of it, launched himself, catapulted himself up and over the centre, and broke all kinds of bones, rode his bike off. It was a big crash, make no mistake. So a piece of advice that I have is, if you're in a new stretch of road, even if it's fun, even if you've heard from everyone how amazing it is, just take it easy the first couple of times you do it, yeah? Just try and learn the road, learn where the corners are, where things go, and that is going to help you. Come on, what are you waiting for, champ? Tip number 2, and this is one that I feel might upset a few people, because it's, yeah, there's plenty of people who don't do this. They very consciously don't abide by this tip, and honestly sometimes I don't either. But the tip is to dress for the slide and not the ride. And yeah, take today, I'm not out, you know, doing 10/10ths on a racetrack. I'm just sort of cruising around, but I have on a pair of RST bike jeans. I have on my Alpine Star shoes. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not. I've got on a jacket. I think it's an RST jacket. I should probably know that. Got on my jacket. I've got on some gloves and a helmet as well. Now a helmet again is going to be pretty much required in most places in the world. Not all places, but most places these days do require a helmet, so that one probably doesn't need to be said as much. Obviously it's very easy to get carried away with the temperature, right? It's not a particularly hot day today, as nice as it looks. We've only got sort of 14-15 degrees, not a lot of wind. Yeah, it looks like a really nice day here, but it's actually not super hot, so it seems easy to preach this on a day like today. But in the middle of summer, dress for the slide and not the ride. Now I get it, I live in the real world as well. I understand that if you're just ducking over to the shops, that, you know, maybe you don't want to get out of your shorts, maybe you can't be bothered putting your jacket on because it's 34 degrees and you'll be stinking hot and you're only shooting up the road. yeah, within reason, live your life, ride the bike how you like. It's your bike, it's your life. And I would be lying to you if I said I'd never ducked up the road in shorts and a t-shirt and stuff, but I suppose it's recognising the difference. But it is so quiet today in town. Like, where is all the traffic? Anyway, so it must be time for my number one tip. The tip that, at least in my opinion, has probably kept me alive more than any of the other tips on this list, and more than anything else there is. Obviously, I haven't said things like practice makes perfect and all that kind of thing, but I do want to thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you've gotten something of it. If I've missed anything, or if you've got some additional tips you think are really good, especially for younger, newer riders, things like that, please do leave them in the comments below. Or if you disagree with any of mine, please leave the comments below. But the number one tip I have is to always assume everyone is out to get you. I know that sounds a little paranoid, and obviously you need to apply a bit of common sense to this. But if you go out and assume that every driver on the road has been told this morning when they've left home, or this afternoon, or this evening, or whatever it is, if they have been told as they've left home, if you happen to see this motorcycle, this black Triumph Speed Triple, if you see that bike, your job is to hit it, is to cut him off, is to brake hard in front of him. It's to swerve around and be unpredictable. If you assume that everyone is out to be ridiculously stupid around you, then I think it just prepares you a little bit better. You're not as surprised when someone randomly brakes and doesn't indicate. Someone changes lane on you with no indication, or, you know, without seeing you at all. I think that for me is the thing that has probably got me out of trouble, because you learn to predict it. If you always assume people will do the worst, then when it happens, and obviously it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, you kind of saw it coming. Like, if I go along, there's two lanes here, if I come along next to this car in front, and I sit here and go, well, look, I'm probably in their blind spot. Also a good tip, don't sit in people's blind spots too long. But if you're sitting here and you go, this person's just going to move over, not indicate, not even see me, you know, I'm already on the right-hand side of the road now. I'm leaving as much gap as I can. I keep glancing sideways at his front wheel. That's another tip, always look at their front wheels, because it shows what the car's about to do. I'm looking at his front wheel a little bit, just glancing from time to time, and all of a sudden, if I see it coming my way, I can quickly scoot on out of it, and I've avoided the issue because I assumed he was going to, even though he didn't, and he's obviously just turned off. But that's kind of an attitude. Obviously, I don't expect people to go out there and be paranoid, and nor should you. You know, especially if you're a new rider and you're building confidence, you don't want to frighten yourself to a point where, I'm actually just going to traffic filter this. Yeah, obviously you don't want to frighten yourself to a point where, you know, you're not confident and you're terrified of all the cars. You shouldn't get to that level. That sort of crosses into the paranoia sort of circles, I guess. Don't be paranoid. So I'll leave you with that thought. Again, put any comments down below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do consider hitting subscribe. I'm a very new YouTube channel at this point. I would like to welcome all of the new subscribers that have come on. And thank you all very much for the support, the likes, the views, and the comments on my last videos. Very much appreciated. And I look forward to talking to you in the next one. Goodbye for now.